Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. It's me, TheRealErikaF, and if you're new here, welcome, and if you are coming back again, welcome back. So nice to see everybody. First things first, go ahead and like, comment, subscribe, whatever. So this video, I just wanted to make this video because, okay, well, first of all, I didn't want to make this video because I feel like it's just something that's really controversial. You know, you're told when it comes to these organizations, sororities and fraternities, that discretion is the most important thing, da-da-da-da, 131, blah, blah, blah. And it also just celebrates black excellence among so many other things. And so I want to make it clear, this isn't a video to bash anything. I feel like the best way for me to do this video justice is to give it both sides. I just know that the situation that I went through might be something that a lot of other people went through, and it's something that really, like, it had a very, very big effect on my college experience, my life. I went through like a depression, so I just know it can be very lonely to go through, especially like me. I'm a first generation college student. Nobody in my family, I literally don't think I have, nobody in my family is Greek. So it's just, I just feel like it could be very lonely experience. So, okay, y'all get the point. I'm just gonna go ahead and jump right into it. So, first things first, so for people who are here, a BGLO is a Black Greek letter organization. I specifically was pursuing interest in a sorority within the Divine Nine. So, moving forward from that, so with my story, basically I have an older sister, and so she started college when I was in 5th grade, but she ended up not continuing, and so she wasn't able to pursue the sorority that I ended up wanting to pursue as well. And I just knew with everything in my heart, mind, soul, body, everything in me, I knew that this was for me. Like, nobody could ever tell me this was not for me. I knew, you know? So I've been preparing for it for forever. I knew it was what I wanted to do. Boom. And I already knew that was the sorority that I wanted to join. I had done so much research on it, so I thought I knew everything. I did not. I should have waited until I got on campus and paid attention to the chapters and just got to know other people and stuff, and just, you know, from jump. Okay, so at the events my freshman year, the girls were, at first, I guess they were, the girls who I went with, they're the girls who clearly wanted to join the sorority, were so nice. We were bonding, everybody was nice, everybody was super cool. All the girls who were over the event were not nice. And everybody says it's like mental hazing, and they do it to like scare you. Well, not scare you. They do it so that you don't feel too comfortable. Like, you don't feel like you're owed anything. You don't feel like you're favorited out of other people. You know, I don't know. Like I said, I didn't continue the process. I don't know what they told them to do. I don't know why they act like that, but they were mean. They basically were just mean. They were standoffish. They hung out with each other. You would think, I don't know, I personally thought that like when you would go to these events, they would mingle with you and get to know you to decide like when the time comes, is this the type of person that I want to join my sorority, you know what I'm saying? Like, is it somebody that I would want in my chapter? But it wasn't that. Like, they would just stay with the people that they were with. So it was really, really hard trying to actually get to know them. And I wanted to actually get to know them. I want to get to know you all because I want to be a part of this, you know? And they were just mean. They were just mean girls. They just didn't, I don't know, whatever. They were just mean. So then they would like see you on campus and just like kind of like give you a look. And it would just, it's really such a mental thing because you're like freaking out like, oh my gosh, do they not like me? Do they like, oh my gosh, am I gonna get it? Am I not gonna? And it's just so annoying that like you feel like you're being watched. You feel like when you go out, you can't be yourself. Some girls, they'll like, I don't know, they might like bump you. They might like, I don't know. I've heard things. That stuff didn't happen to me though. So, yeah, so then my sophomore year comes and we go to the intake, and this is the meanest they have ever been, which I feel like it makes more sense for them to be mean, like strict, you know, because they really do not want to show favoritism in this scenario, because it's like this is serious, and you may be my friend and you may be my roommate or my colleague or whatever, I don't know, you might be anything, but that does not mean that you're going to be a good fit for this sorority, and I don't want you to take it personally. I want you to understand that when I come here, this is business, because at the end of the day, this is also a business, and you need to be able to do X, Y, and Z, and so I'm going to be very professional with you in this situation, and that's that. And so that makes sense to me, but it's just, I don't know, it was just the amount of nerves that you feel because everything is weighing on this moment. I don't know, it's ridiculous. So you get all that, whatever, and you turn it in, and then through this whole process, like looking back, I'm like, basically, okay, so basically I went to the intake, got everything that I was supposed to do. You had to have so many hours of community service, you had to have like a certain GPA, you had to have letters from people who are active members, letters from just like professionals, I guess like a teacher and stuff. It had to be an actual university professor. It couldn't be like a TA or anything like that. Just basically people that could speak to your character. Okay, that's fine. I had all that, like, okay. And how it seemed to me was that anybody who submitted and had the bare minimum requirements, as long as you met the minimum, because I know people were so worried, like, the minimum community service hours are 30 and I only have 31, like, as long as you met the minimum, you were gonna get an interview. So you went to the interview, whatever. In the interview, they were very, very, very stern, very strict, whatever. That was cool. But when I walked out of my interview, it was crazy because I was so nervous. But when I walked out of the interview, I literally started crying because I was like, I got it. Like, there's no way I did not get it. I 100% got it. I went in there and God literally took over my entire body because I did not feel my mouth moving. I did not feel my answers coming out, but I had an answer for everything they were asking me, and I answered it, and I felt confident in my answers. And I just knew that this is where I belonged and this is what I was supposed to do. And through all the things that were happening, between my car breaking down, my letters of recommendation coming the last day they were able to come, just everything going wrong but then still happening, I felt like I was being put through all these tests so that I could overcome and get to where I was supposed to be. That's how I looked at it at the time. But now I feel like God was trying to be like, are you sure this is what you want to do? Are you sure? But little hard-headed me just knew it was something I was supposed to do. So I like cried and I called my mentor, who had been my mentor, and I told her, I was like, I got it. Like, I was like, there's no way that I didn't get it. Like, I don't know if I didn't get it, then I don't know what I did wrong. I just know I got it. So then some time passes, not much, and I get a phone call at night. This is not a daytime phone call. I get a phone call at night. It's late. My call was at like midnight. Like, you're getting calls late. You're not getting calls during business hours, even though this is a business. You're not getting calls during business hours. She's like, hello? And I was like, hey. And she was like, no, that's not how you address me. Like, hangs up. And like, so we go through this a couple of times. So at this point, I'm nervous. Now I feel stupid and basically humiliated. I feel like I'm messing up. I feel like I'm doing everything wrong. And like, I really want this. And how am I messing everything up? Like, she calls back when we're on the phone and she's like, so how do you think you did at the interview? And I was like, I think I did good. Like, I think I did pretty good. Oh, really? Because I think you did horrible. And y'all, I understand that hazing is just a joke and it's funny. Like, people who are in the sorority or fraternity who have been through everything, I know that when y'all hear it, y'all, or even people who haven't, like, when you hear this type of stuff, it's like, girl, like, that's funny as hell. Like, looking back, even in the moment, like when I look back like a week later, I thought it was funny. I'm like, girl, like, stop playing with me, get off my phone. But in the moment, it's not funny. It's not funny at all. It's terrifying. I felt stupid. I was like, did I really I'm like, I know I didn't do bad. You know, I'm second guessing myself. I'm like, I know I did not do bad. Like, but whatever. So that's that. And basically she gives me a number. She's like, okay, call this number. So basically I go through a chain of those things until I don't have to call anybody again. They keep giving me times to call people and numbers to call people. And it was a way basically for me to get to know the girls that I didn't know who were like already members, who were already in the chapter. And looking back, there were there was probably two girls. There were two girls that I really, 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 really liked. And to this day, I wish I had a relationship with those girls, because they were so, like, when I called them, they were like, they were still mean, but they were mean and nice. They were mean like how my oldest sister is mean to me. Like, girl, shut up. Like, you know, like, not like not trying to belittle me or make me feel stupid or less than or inferior. They were just kind of like, no, like, you don't know what you're doing, like, you're doing it wrong, like, you need to X, Y, and Z. They were just good and genuine people and telling me about their lives. Did they seem like they wanted to tell me about their lives? Probably not, but I asked them so I could get to know them. And someone would be like, you should have done your research. So do your fucking research. But yeah, so that was them. And so basically we're doing these calls. That was like the first night. But we're still, like I said, I'm a sophomore. It's fall semester, my sophomore year. So we're doing these calls, and like, at this point, I understand that I've got it. Like, you know, I understand that this is something that I have. Everybody's not getting these calls. Some people are asking, like, have you heard anything, you know? And I know I'm one of the people that got it, clearly, because I'm getting calls. So the calls are just happening every night. And my anxiety is so high and my nerves are so high that I'm in class nervous, stressed out if they're gonna call me. And the calls did not end until like late. So I'm like freaking out. I don't have any support. I have not had any for a long time. So I have to pay for everything in college. I had to work, study, I had jobs, and I had classes, you know, and I have to do my classwork. I have to study for tests. I have to do homework, except when I get home, I can't, because I'm too busy trying to do all this other stuff. And like, so that just became really hard. So then basically I had to take a test in a class about a week and a half after the call started, and I walked out of that test and I was like, I failed that test. In this class, I had to take this class and I had to pass it to be able to move on to where I was supposed to like get into my upper level classes. So I was like, I cannot fail this class. So I called one of the girls who I knew also made it. I knew she had been receiving phone calls. Me and her were extremely close. She's somebody that, like, she was the person I was closest with, period. So basically I called her and I explained the whole situation to her, and she was like, Erica, all I can say is I support whatever you decide to do. Like, there's so many other amazing women that would support you, but also I completely understand school comes first and you need to do what's best for you. So no matter what you decide, I just want you to know that I support you and I just want you to do what's best for you. And I'm like, okay. So at this point, I'm like freaking out, and I call my mom. My mom's like, Erica, like, but I don't tell her everything that's going on. My mother is white, and I just don't think she'll understand what I'm going through. You know, she doesn't understand why I want to be a part of a BGLO, you know what I'm saying? Like, I'm just like, and my dad did not graduate from high school, so it's just like, he doesn't know anything about this. My sister's in New York, I was in Missouri, her time's off, like, she has her own things going on. It's just like, there's nobody I can really, really talk to about this. So then I get a call from our dean, and this is during business hours. So I'm like, why is she calling me during business hours? So I'm like, okay, clearly something's up. So basically she offers me, like, at this point it gets like past just like the behind the scenes and underground process. It gets to like okay, you're gonna come in and you're gonna fill out this paperwork. We're all gonna be together, da da da. I'm sitting with the advisor right now, da da da. I'm like, okay, thank you. Like, I was like, I don't know, like, I need to think about it. Can I call you back? Da da da. And she's like, you need to call me back within an hour. You have an hour to make your decision and call me back. So I'm like freaking out, because I'm like, this is something I have wanted my entire life, ever since I was little. I cannot imagine myself not doing this. But I'm also like, how am I going to do this? Like, how I don't have support from people. My situation was my own situation, and I had to make this a decision that was best for me. So I called her back in an hour, and I was like, yes, I'm going to do it. I'm going to continue. And she was like, okay. So then that night I get home, and basically I'm told, I get a call, and basically I've left this part out. The night before, the night that I was studying for the test the next day, they were calling me, and I decided I wasn't going to answer. I talked to my mentor, and my mentor told me She was the only person I confided in about the fact they were calling me. And she told me, she was like, Erica, that's illegal. She was like, they should not be calling you until you sign paperwork at least. Like, that's extremely illegal. And I'm sorry, but like, if that continues, you need to report it. You need to stop answering their calls because you don't know if you've made it or not. And if you haven't actually made it, you're just wasting your time. You need to focus on classes. So I'm like, all right, I'm done answering calls. So the night before all the other stuff I just mentioned happened, they were calling me. They called me and I missed the first call. And I was like, okay, I can't answer now. So they keep calling me. I've got like 5 missed calls at this point from different people. And I'm like, this must have been the night that everybody met up. And I'm getting calls and getting calls and getting calls and getting calls and getting calls. And I'm not answering because I have to study. Except at this point, I'm not even studying because I have such anxiety. I'm like, what am I doing? I'm like, at this point, if they did meet up and I go and meet up, I'm going to be in trouble because I didn't answer. And are they still going to want me? Is this all for nothing? Like, did I really just mess up? So I'm just like freaking out, crying, don't know what to do. So the next day happens and that's when I talked to the girl and she confirmed, the girl who like I was closest with online, and she confirmed like, yeah, we did meet up last night. There's a lot of girls that were in the room. But like they were all blindfolded. So nobody knew who anybody else was. So I'm like, okay, cool, whatever. So I knew that I got it, basically. So then like I said, the next day I called, they called and I said, yeah, I'll do it. So then I go home at night and I get a call. And they basically tell me to meet them in a parking lot somewhere. And somebody comes and gets me, blindfolds me, puts me in a car, drives me to a location. Says, yeah, I don't know where I was. I don't know what the room looked like. I can assume who was all in the room because people were obviously talking to me and stuff and telling me to do things, whatever. But I was the only girl that night. So I don't know who does or doesn't know this. I don't know if anybody's going to watch this, but I was the only girl that night. And all the older girls from the chapter were there that I could tell from the voices that I remember. But nobody else who was going to be with me was with me. And that was like, so I had to go through all like that. I had to go through that entire night on my own. It was just a long night, basically. And I went home and I wasn't scared. I just felt so alone. Like I just felt so alone in the process I cannot explain. And I just started to question everything. I'm like, if this is something that I'm doing and I know that it's only supposed to get worse from this point forward, because like I said, I was dating somebody who was Greek. At this point, I know a good amount of people who are in fraternities that have like disclosed information to me, not sororities, but yes, fraternities. And so I know, and then obviously I've done my research up until this point. So I know things that happen. I know that the process went underground. I know that hazing still happens despite people continuously saying hazing does not happen. Hazing does still happen. Some chapters it may not happen, but some chapters definitely still haze, and some chapters definitely still haze more than others, and there still is a trophy for being made versus being paper. Paper is when you just sign your name on the dotted line and you made it and you got it, and being made is when you have to actually go through a process and earn your spot. So yeah, I definitely started to question everything, and I was just like, I don't understand why, if I have literally done everything that I am supposed to do to be able to be a member of this, and that the founders of this sorority cared about, then why do what do I need to prove? I've never to have sisters. I have sisters. I was born with, I'm the youngest girl, and I now have 3 younger brothers, and I have sisters, and I never had to earn my sisterhood with them. It was the fact that we're sisters and we're always going to be sisters, and that's a lifetime thing. But they never treated me how y'all are treating me. I've never had to go through things like this. I've never, I know people always say they break you down to build you up, but that's just what, like, I just didn't understand. Like, I already was enough, and you all are trying to make me feel like I'm not enough. You're trying to make me feel like I'm less than, like I don't deserve it, whatever. And so I just started to question everything. And then, like, I had already confided in the dean at this point that I was really nervous about my grades, and she told me that it will be okay. But then she told me that day, and then that same night was the night when they had like picked me up, and basically she was telling me, like, she was just basically dogging me out in front of everybody, which I understand it's a mental thing, but like for me, you just said one thing and now you're saying a whole nother. So like, what am I really supposed to believe? Am I supposed to believe the daytime you that has to be politically correct? Or am I supposed to believe the you that's telling me all this at night? Like, I don't know what to believe. And I don't know you to trust you. Y'all haven't formed a relationship with me. Like, y'all are just treating me like nobody. Like, you know what I'm saying? So it's like, why would I trust what you're telling me? I don't. And she asked me, I remember that morning, she was like, Erica, do you trust me? And I was like, yeah. And she was like, I need you to trust me. She was like, you remind me a lot of myself. Like, I need you to trust me. And I was like, okay. But then, like, it was just crazy to me because who she was during the day just completely contradicted who she was at night. And like I said, I don't have anybody close to me who has been through this. My mentor, if I would have told her that they picked me up, she would have called like the national chapter and had everything shut down. So like, that just wasn't, I wasn't gonna rat them out and ruin anybody else's experience, but it was just extremely like it was just a lot for me to deal with basically, and I didn't know what to do. So I was just like, I don't know. And basically the day that we were supposed to go and sit down and actually pay, I already had my money order. I already had everything that I had to have. But the night that we were supposed to go and submit all the paperwork, sign everything, pay our dues, whatever, I called and I was like, I can't do this. I was like, I'm sorry, but as much as I really appreciate it and I appreciate the offer, I cannot continue forward in this process, and I wish you all the best in everything, and I still will be showing up to support you all, but at this time I cannot do this. Like, I was stressed out about school. Y'all are stressing me out even more. On top of that, I feel like I have nobody who can understand. I feel secluded, all these different things. So I was just like, okay, I can't do it. I can't do it. Like, I can't do it. I'm sorry, I can't do it. So basically she was like, oh, okay, delete my number, never speak to me again, and hung up in my face. And I was like, okay, like, I don't know, I was just really taken back. And then I told the girl who I was closest to, and she acted like she was my friend, but then everything just completely switched up. I don't know. And it's like, I understand that everybody was going through their own things. Everybody who made it, I know y'all were going through your own things. I know that y'all had stuff going on. I get that. And then the girls who were running it, I understand that you had stuff going on. Like, you're facilitating everything. So I know you have to be up just as late and do everything. And you don't have time to really care about a person who's no longer putting in work for this sorority and decided they didn't want to do it. But literally everybody turned on me. Like, nobody spoke to me. Girls who were my friends beforehand, who I didn't even know made it because we were all being very discreet. I didn't even know that they had made it because, like I said, I didn't go to the house that night. But I started to obviously pick up who didn't make it because they weren't showing up, or they were dressed in certain ways or doing certain things. And they just, even if we had classes together, didn't speak to me, didn't say anything to me, didn't look my way. Like, just everybody started to treat me completely different. And I got extremely depressed because this was a decision that was the hardest decision I have ever had to make in my life. It's something that I wanted my whole entire life. I knew deciding not to do it, probably they would never take me again. And look at me now, I'm not Greek at all. And so, like, it was just like, it was a really hard decision. And it's kind of like, for me at that time, it was like, I always knew I was going to be a part of the sorority all of my life. It was something that I knew I was going to do. I knew I was going to do it in college. I just knew. There was no doubt. And so when I had to make the decision to take that away from me, it was the hardest decision I had to make. I felt like a piece of my life had been ripped out of everything that I had envisioned, and I had to change my whole idea of how I pictured my life going forward because I thought I would have these sisters. That's just something and it sounds so dramatic, but like, when it's something that you really care about and you put energy into and you put time into and you put your heart into and your effort into, just getting up to that point, like, and I know I would have only been even more in love with it and obsessed with it after I would have done it. Sorry, my camera cut out. But so yeah, basically for me, it was just like it just changed the way that I viewed my whole college experience going. And at that time, you know, I didn't really know what I wanted to do with my future. I didn't know what job I was gonna have. The life that I live now is definitely not the life that I thought I was gonna live. But it was just like, so after that, it was just depressing because everything basically surrounds Greek life. Every event, Greeks are strolling. There's the probates, there's the parties. Everything is about being Greek when you are Black at a PWI. You know what I'm saying? At least at my PWI, that's how I felt. Everything, if you are Black excellence, you are Greek. And if you are not, you're regular. You're an individual. You're a GDI, a goddamn individual. And that is what I was. And that's okay. When I look back, I can see that now, but at the time, it was just like my whole vision for what I wanted wasn't going to come to fruition. It was something I just could not cope with. I got extremely depressed. And after that, I stopped going out. I wouldn't leave my room. I didn't talk to people. I just like was super depressed, and I lost friends. And this is the part that pisses me off more than anything. So, well, I'll say this. If you are interested in joining a BGLO, if you are interested in joining any sorority or fraternity, I 100% support it. Even after my experience, I still say if that is something you want to do, and if that is something you're passionate about and something you just like see for yourself, and you know that it's gonna add to you, that's great. I say do it. Honestly, if it's for you, it's gonna be for you no matter what. This is what I'll say. And this is my piece to everyone who is interested in joining a BGLO. Trust God, trust yourself, trust your talents, trust your abilities, trust you, trust who you are, know yourself. Know yourself and know your self-value, your self-worth, and all that, and understand even without joining the sorority or fraternity, you are still an amazing person. You can still do work on your own to make a difference. You can still form relationships with people. You can still be the life of a party. You can still have a great life without, I promise, it seems so big in the moment, but there's so much more to life than joining a sorority or fraternity. And if it's for you, it will always be for you. No man can open or close the door that God has opened for you. Nobody can take your name off of a blessing that is meant for you. And if it is meant for you to join a sorority or fraternity, it might not be meant in college. It might not be meant the first try around. If you might get it, like you might join a grad chapter, who knows? But what's for you will always be for you and will never ever pass you. It just won't. And you have to believe that and have faith in that. You have to know yourself and know your value and be confident in who you are, and be confident in knowing that you don't need anything except for yourself. The things that bothered me most when it came to Greek life and trying to join a sorority were knowing that other girls did not fit the requirements, but they got it because of their relationships with the girls who are already members of the chapter, or because they got it because they lied on their application. I know personally the girl that I was closest to, she did not have a single hour of community service, but she had expressed to me how much she wanted it, and I like believe that it was for good reasons. And to this day, I think that she does great work in the sorority, whatever. But I will say she did not have a single hour of community service, and I had so many different places where I had did community service that I was able to go into a place where I had served that had written my letter and convinced them to write her a letter as well from service that she had did one time previously with me, which they did not have documented, but she actually was there one time with me for an event. So yeah, I mean, so that bothered me that there were people who did get it who did not fit the requirements. And then there were people who, it bothered me how they treated me. I can't speak for anyone else, but it really bothered me how I was treated. It bothered me that I felt like I had to completely prove something that that was sitting down and being logical. I should not have had to prove anything. I already did the work. I already was doing the work. I feel like I was already what they were looking for. The only thing that was needed was their validation that, yeah, you're what we're looking for. Like, you do what you need to do. But they felt like I needed to prove things that had absolutely nothing to do with it. Was I willing to learn the history? Yes. I don't know. Just the way you're treated does not make sense to me. To become a sister, I've never had to be treated poorly by my family, ever. And I don't know. You know, people say it's for different reasons. It's reminiscent of the slave trade. It's reminiscent of this or that. I don't know. Like I said, I didn't continue the process. Maybe there's reasons beyond it, but there's just certain things that I don't agree with. There's a lot of things that I do not agree with and that I do not support. So while I had a bad experience, there's still so many good parts to it. You know, you do scholarship, service, you have sisterhood, brothers, you get to do things at a national level, you get to do things at a local level, you get to go to all these different conferences, meet amazing people. you just get to be one of the leaders of the community, you know, in your own way, and doing your own thing and doing things that you care about with people who you come a part of this bigger community of, and get to make a family. You have family across the nation, across the globe, really, because it's global. It's not just in the United States. And you have people that you can call as soon as you meet them. That y'all already have shared experiences, so you're like a family, you know. So while all I can say is there's so much good to becoming a part of these organizations, but I just also want to shed light on the other side. There's other parts to it, but that's also a small part of it. So, you know, I personally, at the time, I had to choose my education and my sanity over the organization, and to this day, I don't regret my decision. In the moment, I really did, but you know, it's life. I'm okay with everything that I've done in my life now, and I'm okay with whatever comes. So yeah, all I can say is make an educated decision and make the best decision for you. Make sure you do your research before you get onto campus. Make sure you continue that research while you're on campus. Get to know the people around you. Have genuine conversations. Make genuine relationships. Don't be afraid to ask questions. But I would say do so in privacy. Definitely still be discreet about things, just because you never know if you change your mind. Don't come on campus saying you want to be a certain sorority and then you end up changing your mind to be something completely different. Discretion is just really important for many different reasons. Yeah. And if you don't get it, it's okay. If you can't do it, if you decide you can't do it anymore, that's okay. If you decide that you can make it through that small, you have to think about it. Like, realistically, the process, it's just a few months, you know? And then after that, you have a lifetime to be a part of this organization. But it's up to you to decide if that's something that you want to be a part of. So yeah, all I can say is do your research. Understand it's not always a walk in the park. There's a lot of other things that go into it. Start getting your community service early. Do community service that you actually enjoy. Like, don't just do it so that you can join, and don't just do the bare minimum, but commit to something once a week because it's good. Do it because it's good to give back. So whether that's going, and I volunteer with Girl Scouts. I love young women. I wish I had a little sister so bad, and so I like adopt every single one of my best friend's little sisters because I wish I had a little sister. So like, whether it's Girl Scouts, Boy Scouts, volunteering, I don't know, volunteering at a food bank, volunteering with the homeless, volunteering at a women's shelter, volunteering for environmental causes. Like, just make sure you're doing those things. Make sure you keep your grades up. School is so important. That's why you pay to go to school. You're paying to be there, so make sure you're going to your classes and doing that. And just make sure you're a good person, you know? I don't know. Make sure you're good to people. That's important. You shouldn't want to join a sorority if you can't maintain relationships with people, and if you aren't working on bettering yourself and wanting to better people around you. So yeah, I just hope if you're watching this and you're contemplating your decision, all I can say is make the decision that's best for you. What's for you is always going to be for you, and will always have your name written on it. I believe in God, and I believe that God knew my entire life, knew me from birth, from beginning to end, before I ever even got here. And I thought that things were supposed to happen, but everything happened exactly how it was supposed to happen. I'm so thankful for everything now. In hindsight, everything is obviously much clearer, and you know, it's life, things happen. Yeah. So like, comment, subscribe. I hope this video doesn't get too much hate. I just wanted to share my experience because everyone has their own, and you don't see much about people who decided to stop. You just don't. People don't talk about it. You know, it's not something you want to talk about. It's something you feel embarrassed about. It's something you regret. You might still regret it. You know, there's just so many different feelings that go into it. But I know there are people who are curious, and I hope this video was able to answer some of your questions. and make you feel better about your situation if you're in anything similar. So like, comment, subscribe, stay blessed, stay tuned. I put out new videos every Wednesday and Sunday, so hope you all enjoyed this video, and bye.